This is Steve Leibowitz for Win News with the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs, and we're going to be speaking with experts after they've heard the speech by U.S. Vice President Mike Pence in the Knesset.
The Jewish people's unbreakable bond to this sacred city reaches back more than 3,000 years. It was here in Jerusalem on Mount Moriah that Abraham offered his son, Isaac, and was credited with righteousness for his faith in God. It was here in Jerusalem that King David consecrated the capital of the Kingdom of Israel. And since its rebirth, the modern state of Israel has called this city the seat of its government. Jerusalem is Israel's capital. And as such, President Trump has directed the State Department to immediately begin preparations to move the United States Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
With Lenny Ben-David, we just finished watching the speech to the Knesset by Vice President Mike Pence. Initial impressions?
It was very impressive in terms of his friendliness, his erudition, his intense passion for Israel and Jewish people. And also, I noted that there were important messages in his speech that went beyond his natural constituency of American evangelicals or the right wing. And that was, he had some policy statements to make that were very important in terms of Middle East peace, in terms of Iran, in terms of terrorism. And it wasn't a do-nothing visit to Israel. He had some very important messages, what I like to call in Hebrew, tachlitical messages.
And what was your impression as far as his message about the peace process? So he did allude to at least the idea of a two-state solution.
It's more than an illusion. He said that's a possibility. He appealed to the Palestinians to come forward and to negotiate. He also included in the regional picture, he mentioned Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Egypt, calling Egypt a close friend, which was different from previous administrations. This was a much broader speech than some people had expected. And then he turned to Iran with very strong messages about certification, about the sanctions, and about never allowing a nuclear weapon to be developed.
I noticed that during the speech you were anticipating his comments on Iran, waiting for them. Was there anything in there that was surprising, perhaps when he turned directly to the Iranian people?
That was a beautiful moment, also different from previous U.S. administration, where he appealed to them. That's going to be publicized in radio stations into Iran, and it's going to give people in Iran, brave people, some encouragement. So that was an important message.
What kind of an impression do you think Mike Pence got from our Knesset? He was the first vice president to ever address the Knesset. There was an incident at the beginning where the Arab members of Knesset demonstrated briefly before they were ushered out. What impression do you think he got of our democracy?
Well, he also admitted, he said he knows Israel's a vibrant democracy. So I'll remind people, however, that there was also, when Prime Minister Netanyahu was speaking in Congress, there was also a disruption when a demonstrator got up, I think, from the Code Pink organization. So democracies allow this sometimes, but of course the people are quickly ushered out.
Mike Pence, a good friend of the State of Israel?
Mike Pence is a very good friend, but it's not just a political friendship. This is a deep in the soul friendship that goes certainly into the religion, certainly into the identification with the Jewish people. There was a very touching moment when he said the Shehecheyanu prayer.
In Hebrew.
In Hebrew. This is the prayer said when something new or is introduced or when a great event takes place. And you had Israeli Knesset standing ovation for that. I will point out in his important messages beyond Israel and beyond the Judaism ties to America, there were two other standing ovations by the Israeli parliament. And that was both when dealing with the Iranian situation, that they would not allow an Iranian missile, and that the Iranian deal was a terrible deal.
And no nuclear weapons ever.
And no nuclear weapons, right.
Lenny Ben-David from the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs, thanks so much for being with us at WIN News.